All right, there we go.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Look at the mulch. Looks nice too, eh?
Yeah. Ta-da!
Looks all right.
I'm happy.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, the rest of the backyard is done in, but I've got the bags there, and I'm gonna get it fixed up.
So because you don't have it, because we don't or we're not mulching the garden, which is perfectly fine, you're gonna find that you're gonna get more weeds, and you got to stay on top of it.
Okay.
Because if you don't, they grow really fast. Because this is good soil, right? So as soon as they take root, get rid of them. The kiwi's coming along nicely. The cucumber's coming along very nicely. I'm very happy. Other cucumbers, so another homemade tomatoes, which is fine. So these are the true leaves, first true leaves.
Mm-hmm.
These are just their starter leaves. So you always know. But you can tell, right? I mean, looking at this leaf, like you can't, unless you labeled them, you wouldn't really know which one was which.
Right.
Right. So see how you've got some of the beets that have sprouted, but there's too much stem sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with that is they weren't planted deep enough. So what you've got to do is grab some soil from another area and just mound them up a little bit. Worms are very good for your garden. If you ever find any worms in and around here, drop them in your garden. They're worm poop, or the castings is what they're called, are very good for plants. They're very high in a lot of different nutrients, and they're very good for your garden. So if you see any, put them in. Spinach is a cool season vegetable. It's not something that does very well in the heat. These are the seeds and little seeds of and this process is called bolting. So anytime you hear about a plant bolting, it means that it's going to seed. So the springtime has been very difficult for some spinaches and most of the spinach that I've sown. So instead of keeping it around, we're going to pull it out because we don't really need it anymore. Because it's just we're not getting a lot of leaves off of it.
So we're not gonna have any spinach.
Yeah, spinach didn't work out. Well, that's not true. I mean, the extra spinach here. So I sowed. So when I put the spinach in, I put some extra leaves in, and so we're getting some. So I'd like to keep it just for a little bit, and then let's see how this does. It does all right. We'll get. I mean, you're at a baby spinach level, right? I mean, when you're noticing baby spinach in the grocery store, they're about this size, maybe a little bit larger than that. So you're not going to let it go very big. And from these plants, you might get one spinach salad, something like that. Not tons. In a couple of weeks, we'll see how it is. We'll see how the hot weather does to it. It's likely going to go to seed. However, what you can do in the meantime is when you start to see these little seed heads on them, pull them off. And then the plant will have to put more energy back into the seeds, and you'll get more leafiness out of it. So you can actually eat these, which is fine. Tastes like spinach?
It tastes exactly like spinach.
Because it's spinach.
Oh my god.
So, the problem is that it went right to seed, right? All of its energy went into the seed. So, what you can do is whenever you see these little seed pods starting up on the spinach plant, pluck the seed heads off. Broccoli's doing very nicely. I'm not seeing any broccoli heads yet, so we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do with that. We're still going to experiment a little bit with that. But so far, it's doing all right. Kale's doing very nicely. This kale is going to start when you can probably pinch off a leaf or two if you really want to, because you've got some new growth in the bottom here, right? Right in the bottom. So that new growth is what you want to pay attention to. Now these leaves themselves are going to get really big, which is fine. But you can leave it for another week and then start harvesting, which would probably not be a bad idea.
Now, what does that stuff look like?
What, kale?
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh.
You eat the
You
leaves.
just eat the leaves? Okay.
You just eat the leaves.
I never had kale, so.
Okay. Can you get this little plant right here?
Yep.
Okay, this is called the sucker. This little thing right in the center here. So
Yep.
it's a sucker. These things in here. You gotta pluck them out. They're not. You can pluck them out when they're really little, but often you want to get them to be a little bit bigger just so you can reach onto them. Now you just want to pluck out the suckers. There's another one right here. See how it's growing right in there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pluck these out because what's going to happen is that they're going to continually grow and grow and grow, and you're going to get a bush. You don't really want that bush. What you want is a strong stem up the center, at least until 2 feet, and then it can kind of come out. Because if you let the suckers grow out, they'll grow into a solid branch, and then you'll get a branch coming out this way and going up. Now,
Right.
if this branch flowers and fruits heavily, then it'll break. And so what you wind up having to do is to stake both sides.
Ah.
So the easiest way to do it, and since we're going to be putting a trellis right along here, you can let the suckers go, but not until it actually gets into the trellis. So what I want you to do is to continually
out of there.
prune. So leave these main branches that come off. They're fine, but what you want to do is have this main branch, this nice strong branch, reach about 2 feet, and then start weaving it through the branches. Start weaving it through the mesh netting that's here.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to
When
do
does
it.
that go in?
This one, the
mesh.
trellis?
The mesh.
It can go in next week,
Okay.
week after. Not too much longer because you're going to start to get a lot of growth in your tomatoes, or sorry, in your cucumbers, and the zucchini are going to start to grow quickly.
Right on.
And so when they start to, I mean, we're going to have the netting. It's going to be about this level anyway. So you want them to come up a little bit before they start to branch out.
Right.
That way you get a nice strong support and a nice strong base, and then you can fish them all through the netting all you want.
All right.
That lettuce you can start eating.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to. Now it's just leaf lettuce, right? Like it's just going to continually grow and grow and grow. So you see how you've got little, like the new growth in the bottom here. So you can start taking a couple of like a couple of leaves off from the bottom if you want to, or you can let it grow a little bit more and you'll get a nice little head of lettuce, which is fine. Same with this red leaf lettuce. You can start just plucking from the underside and take some of the bigger ones, as long as you got the new growth, right? The new growth is what you're after.
Cool.
So like, see all that new stuff in there? That's all the new growth that you want. And as long as you're getting some new growth and getting a lot of that coming out, you're golden.
All right.
So that's going to be pretty decent.
Excellent.
Yeah, so things are doing a lot better than the last time.
That's for sure.
That's for
I did
sure,
not kill
right.
it this time. We've been watering it faithfully,
Exactly.
keeping track of everything. So right now, I'm not in the doghouse because I've got a garden.
So we're just sowing a little bit more dill. You know what, to be honest with you, I don't remember if I only did a little bit and then I was planning on doing some more. But this way you'll get a succession crop, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right.
Because the whole idea behind succession planting is that you continually plant vegetables to make sure that you are getting a continual harvest. So if you just plant everything at once, you'll get to harvest once, and that'll be the end of it. So arugula is it's an easy light plant. It's not a lot. You eat the baby leaves. It's not going to take too much nutrients. It's not going to take too much out of the garden. So like, let's plant a bunch of it. And so the more that you plant, the more you get. And so you got little tiny seeds like this, and so it's nothing, just to take a little bit of it, and that way you're gonna have a bunch of little plants that are coming up, and you'll know that in between the rows, you got a bunch of arugula coming up. Now with seeds, keep in mind you gotta water the seeds differently, right? You gotta keep the seeds moist. So when you're watering the rest of the garden, you want to pay attention. You want to pay attention to keep this small area packed with water, because this is what you need. These peas, I've seen them in other gardens, and I've had some experience in some other gardens, and mine themselves, they're dwarf peas, so they should only grow to a certain size and then kind of hang out and flower, but they might get a little heavy and want to flop over. In the event of that, get something that they can climb on.
Okay.
So
Well, can they just lean on that trellis right there?
you could, if they can go that far and they reach that far, then they'll climb up here, no problem, perfectly fine. Otherwise, you can grab that 2x4 in the back, put the 2x4 here, and just let them kind of spiral around a little bit. If you need to, take some ties or something like that, and just tie the stalks to it, just to give it a little bit more support on the side, right?
Okay.
And then we'll see where we go from there. But the whole idea of these gardens is just to fill them, right?
Yeah.
Look, these are gonna get really big. So the carrots are gonna get big. So what we want to do at this point in time is we want to thin them out. Thinning out carrots. The reason why we thin them out is because it's really difficult to plant carrots themselves. The seeds are very small and delicate. So what you wind up doing is, rather than painstakingly taking each one single seed and putting it in, you wind up getting 2 or 3. It's the way it works, and you wind up plucking out the one that doesn't survive very well. So, for example, we've got these 3 that are in close proximity to each other. Unfortunately, 2 of them have to go. But I'm going to show you something neat. Now in this instance, where you've got another 3, you got to figure out which one is the strongest one, and then take the other ones. unfortunately. But I'm going to show you something cool in a minute. That's why I'm collecting them. So you want to thin them out to about 1 every 2 inches or so, just to make sure that you're going to get some solid carrots, because otherwise they don't like to compete with each other, and it's just not going to work out very well. So unfortunately, you have to thin them. And so then what we'll do as well is we'll plant some more carrots next week or the week after in the same area, so that way we can we'll just get more that'll come up a little bit later on, and so that way you can get a succession crop. Eat just above the white.
So just above the white.
What do it taste like?
All right.
Carrots.
Yeah,
Neat.
little itty bitty green carrots. That is cool.
Sprouts are loaded with lots of different nutrients and the rest of it, so you should never throw out your food. Anything you grow it organically, eat it. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with it.
Oh.
As long as you know what goes into it, eat it.
Right.
Except tomato stuff. Anything from the nightshade family, don't eat the plants. Only eat the fruit.
What's
But if
the
you're eating
nightshade
leafy
family?
vegetables, there's nothing wrong with it. Beet greens, they're delicious. Wait till we pull up the beets, and you can eat the beets and the greens. Amazing. Very delicious. All right. Anything else we need to talk about?
Nope.